and welcome to, admittedly, just a quick and dirty little video here. So, yeah, it's right in the middle of Halloween season right now, and things are swinging. So I'm trying to work on the first Halloween episode of Archive in a couple of years now. I'm trying to finish up a half thrifting video, half thrifting and half just going through the Halloween pop-up shops, like Spirit Halloween and that sort of thing. So yeah, next week will be that video. October 30th will be the Halloween special. But just for today, for something quick and easy to do here, I want to just run through 10 of my favorite Halloween TV episodes, specials, whatever, all TV related. One I'm slightly cheating on, but yeah, I got 10 of these things to go through here. And we'll start with the two really obvious ones, at least for me, and then we'll start to dig a little deeper. So yes, I have once again dug out my much prized Laserdisc of It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown from 1966, the special that is, not the Laserdisc. The follow-up to A Charlie Brown Christmas, 1965. And this, as much as I love Charlie Brown Christmas, I think I love this one even slightly more. Now, even though this is ostensibly a kids show, it's kind of melancholy, and it's a bit more introspective than one would expect. And I don't know what this says about me, but I have loved this since I first saw it as a kid. But I can only guess that I really just liked the vibe as a kid, and it was more the writing that sunk in with me over the years. And really, this Halloween one deals more with the mythology than the Christmas one did. So yeah, Santa Claus figures in a little to the Christmas one, but in this case, Linus has got this whole thing about the Great Pumpkin. So effectively the Halloween equivalent to Santa Claus, but you have to truly believe in all that. And it's really just a great look into the mind of Linus, who is this walking dichotomy. He is clearly the smartest of the Peanuts kids, but at the same time, he still clings to his blanket, and he still believes in some pretty childish things. He's a bit too idealistic for his own good. He's just kind of caught between these two worlds. And I just absolutely love it. And also, one of the great things about Peanuts is that it's just general enough that it could really take place almost any time between, say, the 1940s and today. They keep it so general. And in this case, for me, I would have been the age of the Peanuts kids in the 90s. There's still just those basics, raking leaves and going through a pumpkin patch and stuff, and sometimes even naturally occurring ones. And it's a bit of a nostalgic trip in that regard. But first and foremost, as time has gone on, it's just been more the writing and the attitude of this whole thing that I've really held on to. All right, here's the other really obvious one, Garfield's Halloween Adventure, 1985. And I've discussed this before, and not to toot my own horn, but I think I was the first, and this was over a decade ago, on the internet to discuss a certain Mandela effect with this one. So at the time, I discussed me adding a scene to this that didn't actually exist in my mind. So it's Garfield and Odie going out trick-or-treating. They stumble upon an actual haunted house. But in the book version of this, they get followed home by the ghosts. And this is some kind of heavy-duty stuff for a kid's special, but it works, and I even liked it a lot as a kid. But yeah, that's just part of the book. And over the years, I've seen this on DVD, of course, my old VHS here. I've even seen an original 1985 off-air recording of this, and that bit with the ghosts following them home is not there. It was just so well written in the book, I think, that it just sticks with me, and apparently it's stuck with a lot of people. But yeah, that's the second and final really obvious one. All right, now let's start digging a little deeper here. So I'm pretty sure the first TV sitcom to do a regular Halloween special would be The Addams Family, but of course Addams Family only ran for, 2 seasons, I believe? There are 2 Halloween episodes of it, And this slightly predates Great Pumpkin, but it does kind of deal in more of the, I guess, Santa Claus-ish aspects of the holiday. Tell me that ghosts are real and so on, trying to keep Little Wednesday's faith in the holiday. And it's simultaneously sweet, but also very macabre, as one would expect out of the Addams Family. Now, as far as the Addams Family goes, I do tend to gravitate more towards this original 60s TV series and the old Charles Addams cartoons that ran in the New Yorker way back when. I do have some affection for, at the very least, the first Raul Julia one from the 90s, and then the more recent reboots just do absolutely nothing for me. And it never ceases to amaze me how the youngins have kind of latched on to Addams Family, but it seems to unfortunately be in the most shallow way possible. It's kind of the current batch of, I guess, goth kids are still a thing, but yeah, I kind of wonder if they really get it. I'd love to see the kids read some of the old Charles Addams bits. All right, here's the one where I'm bending the rules a bit. So these are originally theatrical shorts, but they have been on TV so many times, and they're just associated with TV at this point. So generically speaking, the Three Stooges horror type shorts. There are no Halloween Three Stooges shorts that I'm aware of, at least. And I've seen them all, I think. But yeah, they had, I want to say, at least a half a dozen of these things throughout their run. Now, the only one I had handy, be it on tape or Laserdisc, with something obvious and representative on the cover, was this Laserdisc of all Shemp shorts, and I think the only Laserdisc of Shemp stuff. But yes, this still is from a short called Who Done It. But I like all the Stooges kind of haunted house-ish shorts. The best ones are probably the two curly ones. One is called If a Body Meets a Body, and another one, it's not quite a haunted house one, but it's got a good horror bent to it. It's called Idle Rumors. And then in the Shemp era, they had one called Spooks in 1953, and it was in 3D when it came out. And I actually had that, and still have 2 copies of it, on 8mm film, a condensed version, alas, not in 3D. And neither of them is in quite right condition. They're missing footage, even within the condensed versions, and I have yet to find a complete copy. And unfortunately, those films are sitting at the bottom of a box somewhere right now, so I had to settle for this. And with regards to that Spooks one, it has been on DVD in 3D. However, the effect will only work on an old tube TV. You're wasting your time trying it out on a modern TV. But yeah, not explicitly TV, but these have been on TV so many times I had to get these in there. All right, this is as recent as I'm going here. So the Halloween episode of News Radio, and I think it's from 1997. Now, it is not on this particular DVD set. If memory serves, it's season 3. This is the first 2 seasons. I have it, but I couldn't find it in time for this video. I'm pretty sure News Radio is available for streaming somewhere at this point. But anyway, with regards to that Halloween episode, there is one big gag that you can see coming a mile away, but that's not why I like that episode. I like it, for one, it's a great look into the mindsets and the relationship between the staff members of WNYX. And at the same time, it's got kind of a creepy moment where Phil Hartman's character is talking to a seer, asking, when am I going to die? Well, of course, it turned out to be grossly inaccurate, as we now know in retrospect. But there's just something kind of eerie about him asking that within just a year or 2 of his death. I think it was closer to just 1 year, maybe even not that much. But yeah, and I love that episode because it's got all these great little non sequiturs to it, these little one-line bits, little walk-on bits, and they're all surreal, but they're really well done. They're funny, and they're still plausible somehow. So yes, if you can find the NewsRadio Halloween episode, I think it is just called Halloween, definitely give it a spin. All right, let's jump back to the 80s here, and this series had 2 Halloween episodes, and you almost never hear these get discussed. Actually, technically only 1 real Halloween episode, but another that may as well have been. So I've got the first season of Newhart here, the 80s Bob Newhart, where he's running the inn in Vermont, so not the 70s Chicago one. But I think it is the second episode of this, and I think it didn't air till early November, but, New England was the home in the Puritan era to a lot of the witch stuff in the 17th century here in the States. And so, of course, it found its way into their little inn there, the Stratford, and as it turns out, they apparently have a witch buried in their basement. And it actually gets surprisingly serious and, dare I say, even a bit sweet. You find that the missus really kind of cares about this person. And if memory serves, it's the first episode where you get to meet Larry, Daryl, and Daryl. And I really enjoy that one, but it's not, I guess, explicitly a Halloween episode. Much later in the series run, this would have been 1988 or so, then they got the proper Halloween special, which is well worth a watch too, but it's a Halloween party at the inn, and the phone lines go down, and just kind of general shenanigans. And there is a payoff to the joke, a slightly obvious one, but nonetheless satisfying. But yes, if you can find these, I'm pretty sure these are on Amazon Prime for streaming. If you can find those 2 episodes of Newhart, and what's that first one called anyway? Mrs. Newton's body lies a mouldering in the grave. All right, let's jump back to 1970 here. And this has been on DVD, but I have heard that the DVD was kind of botched. And it's one of those things that if I see it at the right price, I'll pick it up. But as it stands, I only have my old off-air copy of the Laugh-In Halloween episode from, as I said, 1970, with special guest Orson Welles. And of course, Welles was a brilliant actor and director and writer, but he was also a magician, and a pretty solid one. And he gets to show that off a bit in that episode. But the real joy of the episode is in Welles himself. You can tell he's actually having a really good time making it. And one second he's being the absolute straightest straight man to the bunch, far more than Dan Rowan was ever able to pull off, and he was pretty good at it. And at other times being just the silliest sucker you've ever seen. And it's just a wonderful thing. And of course, Laugh-In was shot on videotape right during the quadruplex era, and any effects are really saturated and a bit awkward. And it has that great kind of surreal early videotape vibe to it as well. So I think you can stream this on Amazon. Again, it has been on DVD, but give that one a watch. All right, the next 2 are going to be absolutely on brand for me, but we're digging a good bit deeper here. So let's talk briefly about the Halloween episode of SCTV, which is on this DVD set, Volume 2 of the Network 90 sets. And it's from 1981, and it's called Zontar. And if you can find a copy of this DVD, there's an audio commentary with Joe Flaherty on that episode. Rest in peace, Joe. And he talks about he had been watching some late night movie, and it was so terrible that he loved it. And he basically wound up just nicking the thing for this and just changing it up a little. And it works wonderfully. And there's this weird shoehorned in side plot about Bonar Bain, the twin brother of actor Conrad Bain, who was on What's Happening, what's that called? Different Strokes, and evil twins and that sort of thing. So it's what you would expect out of SCTV. And at the same time, most episodes of SCTV play out like a whole broadcast day because, SCTV was allegedly a depending on your interpretation, because they weren't consistent themselves. Either a network, a really, really bad network, or just some really crappy bottom of the barrel UHF station somewhere. And yeah, so you still get their usual commercial parodies and stuff, and not everything has to do with Halloween in the episode, but it's just done really well, and it maintains a certain vibe through it. So yes, if you can find this one, I think this has only been on DVD. I don't think this is streaming anywhere. Maybe try YouTube, but yes, well worth a watch if you can find it. All right, this next one is absolutely on brand for me, but I think this might be as obscure as we're getting. Never been on home video, unfortunately, so just as a placeholder, I've brought out my VHS of the worst of You Can't Do That on Television. But yes, there was a Halloween episode, 1984. You can look it up on YouTube, or archive.org for that matter. And it does follow the usual trajectory of a You Can't Do That on Television episode, where they're basically just dismantling whatever the day's topic was. And given that this one was from 1984, it's a bit dated. And of course, you know, people tend to dress as, certainly back then, you know, their favorite actors and musicians or whatever for Halloween. So you get to see some of them attempting to dress up very poorly as, say, Cyndi Lauper and who else? Billy Idol, I think, is one. But anyway, to me, part of the real fun of it is that it also deals with the psychology of kids interacting at Halloween and how they can be they're always kind of cruel to each other on this, but how they can be especially nasty to each other and just get on each other's nerves. The locker joke segment, their whole thing that they got from Laugh-In, is especially nasty on this one. And at the same time, there's some great life advice on that episode, like if you go to somebody's house trick-or-treating and they try and stiff you on the treats, just fire a cannon at their house. I mean, a real Revolutionary War, 18th century styled cannon. What do you mean you don't have one? And to close things out here, I said I was going to discuss 10, but I'll give you 2 for the price of 1 here, so technically 11. So this is actually, it's never been on home video, but it's an episode of a game show. So there was indeed a Halloween episode of Double Dare at one point. This is just one of my old VHS compilation tapes I'm using as a placeholder, but yeah, Super Sloppy Double Dare had a Halloween episode in 1989. I have seen it on YouTube. I haven't looked it up in a while, but hopefully it's still there. And they did try and create an overriding theme to it, and wisely, nobody is taking it seriously. It's just as much a joke than anything else. But the obstacle course and the physical challenges are all modified for the holiday. And yeah, it's just a really fun watch. And it's kind of surprising that I don't think they ever did a second one. As far as I know, I used to watch this all the time as a kid, and I don't remember there ever being a second Halloween episode. Now, for a little bonus here, we got Mark Summers on the cover. There was this special, and I'm absolutely blanking on the name, but it aired on Nickelodeon for a few years in a row, the same show, with Mark Summers and some random kids falling into kind of a haunted house thing. But it stands out to me because it would be tied in with something called Nick or Treat, and it was dialing for dollars. So you waited to see if you got the magic call, and if you said Nick or Treat, you'd win whatever silly, stupid, cheap prizes. But yeah, I'm sure with all the Nickelodeon stuff online, somebody has found it by now and has probably covered it and discussed it quite extensively. But yeah, I need to dig that one up sometime if I can. Anyway, that's all I got for you here. So again, next week will be a half-thrifting, Halloween half-thrifting episode. And then on the 30th, it will be my first Halloween episode of Archive in a couple of years now. So I'll see you again soon.